welcome to our short review of Rise of the Ronin PC Edition. And have you ever had that weird dream where you were a Ronin in the Bakumatsu period in Japan? Well, if you had that specific dream, Rise of the Ronin lets you do that. It drops you into one of Japan's most chaotic areas. But the question is, with this PC version, is it worth it? Especially because we already played the game on PlayStation 5. Our first impressions, well, they are not great. We have a very upgraded PC and we expected a smooth, high performance and high frame rate experience on ultra settings. Instead, the first few hours felt surprisingly rough. The frame rate dipped below 60 frames per second, which is far from ideal for a fast-paced, Souls-like combat system like Rise of the Ronin. But once we got past that rocky start, things improved. And once you finally step into that open world, the experience gets better, even in the busy Yokohama streets. We hit 100 frames per second with ray tracing, and that said, the game is kept at 120 frames per second, and the cutscenes are still locked at 20 frames per second. Visually, the game is decent, but it's not groundbreaking, and don't expect massive difference between ultra and standard settings. And for those wondering, especially myself, this game won't run on Steam Deck, which is sad because this is a great game to play on that. Because at 10 frames per second on low settings, portable play is just off the table. But strangely enough, ultra settings can make the game look worse. Textures, especially wooden surfaces, sometimes appear blurry, even with motion blur turned off. And there's also noticeable screen tearing and micro stutters, making high or standard settings the better option for most players. Well, the story, at the start you can create two characters who form the Veiled Edge and deadly duo. But after a brief introduction, you pick one and get thrown into the open world. You meet historical figures like Ryoma Sakamoto, but the narrative feels messy. Missions jump from exploring the city to assassinating politicians, and while the setting is fantastic, the storytelling lacks some depth. But thankfully, the combat is where Rise of the Ronin shines. The parry system is the game's core mechanic, and it's incredibly satisfying. Using the counter spark, you can deflect almost any attack, including projectiles. Breaking enemy stamina and setting up for a brutal finisher is just amazing to do. The game is fast, fluid, and the best reason to play this game. So the question is, all in our minds, is Rise of the Ronin on PC worth it? Well, it's a yes and a no. The combat is excellent, but the storytelling feels weak. And the performance issues hold it back. If you're looking for a deep samurai experience with rewarding combat, this is one definitely to keep an eye on. But don't expect a flawless ride. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Come back to That's Gaming short reviews and we'll see you on to the next one.